So I got a problem. This is January, and my father's partner, John Joyce, came to me and said, Eric, I got a friend who, I think I got to wait for us to make some extra money. I got a friend who wants to show us something. You know, let's go over lunch and go check it out. And I'm like, I'm in, you know, tell me what the, you know, what's the story? But I need money like oxygen. I need dollars right now because I've got this ticking time bomb to be able to figure out my situation before tax time comes in April. This is January. So we drive over to this guy's house. His name is Charlie, and he's a very successful guy. John Joyce is a very successful guy. My dad is a successful guy. I'm totally broke, behind on my promises, behind on my bills. The creditors are calling already. Age 22, said you said the check was in the mail. Come on, what's going on? And that's long before they had caller ID, so you couldn't screen those creditor calls. You know, nowadays it's much easier. Unknown, no, I'm not answering that one. But we go into this house and they play this, they put in a VHS cassette. This is a while ago. Anybody remember VHS cassettes? Anybody? Really? Wow. It's ancient artifacts. But anyway, VHS cassette, and it's been dubbed over like 20 times, and there's this ridiculous video of people in limousines, and helicopters, and mansions. They made $1 million in 15 minutes, and all this crazy stuff. And they were selling water filters back then. Water filters. What? Who cares? That water's fine. Right? So I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe my filters could not let it in that this could even be real at all. So I said, kind of like the Shark Tank guys, I'm out. I wish you the best. Broke guy says to rich guys. And then the rich guy said, well, we think we're going to do it. Anyway, you can wait in the car. That's a problem. Because the only thing worse than, you know, not doing it was seeing them do it and be successful, and I had to watch. So I just decided, okay, I pulled my dad aside and I said, Dad, one more time, could you loan me a little bit of money? I'll do it, but I don't have any money. I have $0. You loan me a little bit of money one more time to help me get started? And he said, sure, okay. So I got started in network marketing. And my dad and his partner, they were focused on real estate really, really hard. So for the first 90 days or so, they were involved, and then they were focused on their real estate, so they just weren't that involved after that, okay? So for me, here's what happened. I got off to a pretty good little start, and you know how I did it? I got my dad's address book, and I quickly called all of his friends before he had time to call them. Because my friends were broke. All of my friends had no money. So I quickly called all of my dad's friends, who was my upline, and said, hey, you might want to look at this because my dad and John Joyce are involved in this thing. You should check it out. And I introduced my dad to his own friends, hoping, you know, I'm doing three-way calls with my dad and his friends, hoping that it would end up somewhere in my organization I get credit for it. So I did, and I got off to a decent little start. I got a check, I made a little bit of money. And I learned a lesson early on. I was really a minimum wage person. And I found out that from time to time in your life, your income might take a lucky jump. You might be in the right place at the right time with the right people, and all of a sudden your income goes boom. Some of you are experiencing that just in the last year. You're in the right place, right time, right people, right company, and all of a sudden, boom, your income has just gone crazy. But if you don't quickly grow to the level of that income as a person, as a leader, then the income is going to come back down to the level of the person that you are. So that was a lesson I learned early on, because my third month, I went full-time right away, walked away from real estate. Right away. My first month, I made $7,400. All of my dad's friends. My second month, I made $12,244. Still have a copy of the check. My third month, I'm full-time, walked away from real estate. I've never $11,098.60. And my first 2 months' income, I spent it all. So I'm in trouble now again. When I got that third month's check, I quit for a day. I quit. I went home and I said, this is stupid. My upline's not supporting me. They don't have any trainings. The events are terrible. The economy in Minnesota, who's going to look at, they're all conservative people. Nobody looks at entrepreneurial stuff in Minnesota. Minnesota, all right. The home of Adrian Peterson. What the heck? Man, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Anyway, my troubles. Anyway, I quit. I say, I'm done. Stupid stuff. They say the product sells itself. Liars. It does not either. And I went home, and the best thing that happened to me, Garth Brooks has a song that says, one of God's greatest gifts is unanswered prayers. The best thing in the world that happened to me is I had no place to go. But back to network marketing. I had no place to go. Where was I going to go? No college degree. I walked away from real estate. I had, obligations to take care of that month. I had to figure this thing out. I had no place to go that would be able to create a situation for me that would get me out of my troubles. But the thing that I was blaming mad at, because I was a professional blamer up until age 22, 23. That was my defining characteristic. It was never my fault. So, I thank God a lot, because if the devil would have shown up in the suit of a businessman that says, all right, son, you're sick of this thing? I'll give you a job right now. $100,000 a year, but you work for me for the rest of your life. You never get a raise, you'll never get fired, but you get $100,000 a year. Are you in or you out? Guess what? I'd have taken it. I'd have taken it. And I'd have lived at 2% of my potential for the rest of my life. But thank goodness, the angels kept that person away from me on that bad day. You know what I mean? And I had to go back to the thing that was the problem for me in the first place, which was my limiting beliefs about myself, my blame mentality, and I had to say, guess what? I've got to just dig deep. And I went, I'll be honest with you, at the beginning, I didn't have a great attitude. I had to go, get in the car, listen to the best music I could listen to get me fired up, to get me through one day. And then I'd go home, I'd crawl under the covers, lick my wounds. The next day I'd have to get myself psyched up one more time. And then I found a friend that every day we'd look at each other and said, tell me again why we're doing this one more time. Tell me again why I'm going here one more time. Tell me again why I'm dealing with this stuff one more time. And then I found another friend, and then another friend. And in my first 3 years in network marketing, I made just enough money to be miserable. I made just enough money to pay the bills, get by. I had the pin. I moved through the ranks. Some of you know what I'm talking about, sitting in these couches. Everybody in the back saying, man, if I was just in the couch, and people in the couches saying, man, I need to be farther than I am right now. I know what that feels like. Having the pin, making just enough money to be miserable, not enough money to be living the life that you want to live, right? I know what that felt like. My first 3 years, I rebuilt my organization 7 times. I built it up, 20, 30 people. We'd be rocking, and then all of a sudden, for one reason or another, it would fall down again. So I built up that first group with my dad's friends. And they never listen to me. I'm 22, 18 jobs, they're not going to listen to me. They listen to somebody else. And then just for whatever reason, they faded away. So then I said, you know what? I'm going to go with my friends. Young generation, let's go. Right? Well, there are issues with the young generation. I mean, they can go, oh, a squirrel, and they're gone. serious. So I get people and I bring them in and say, drop down, give me 20 right now. You will go prospect 5 people today. Go get in your car, don't come home until you have 3 customers. You know, okay, I'm serious. And people say, listen kid, we didn't come here to go to work for you. So they quit. So I decided to go the other way. We're going to have a love group. Let's just love. Hug each other. Nurture, support. It's okay. I love you too. Hug. Nobody sold anything at all with the love group. I tried the party group. Hey, let's just party. We'll talk about business in between. Some people needed to go into therapy after the party group. It wasn't good. So 7 times, and I'll tell you what, you got an awards banquet tonight. The one thing that really served me in my career in network marketing is I never missed an event, whatever I had to do. If I had to sleep, in the bathtub, 8 people in one bedroom, go to the grocery store and make bologna sandwiches or whatever, stay away from the mini bar, drive 15 people cramped, hating each other in a van. We did it all of that stuff. I did it all, but I never missed. I found a way. It's not about the resources, it's about being resourceful. It's about finding a way. So I found a way. But I'll tell you something that happened to me. Some of you have some stories of how you got here and sacrifices you had to make. That's the best sacrifice you could ever make. There's all the big breakthroughs in my life happen at destination events like this. But I went to the first event and people were going across the stage. And they're getting the pin, and they're getting the flowers, and they got the oversized checks. And then the tears. I want to thank the team that made this possible. Because just 4 months ago, I was homeless. Right? And it was so inspiring. I was fired up. I'm like, man, it's going to be me. I'm going to be on that stage. And I was sitting as front as they would let me sit. If I could sneak into the VIP section, I'd do it. Just saying. I don't want to condone inappropriate behavior, but you know what? Dang it. So I'd sneak in and sit up as close as I could sit. If I could sit at the base of the stairs, I'm sitting there. I'm going to be on that stage. And then the next event, I didn't earn it yet. And the little parade wasn't quite as inspiring. It was still like, you know what? I let stuff get in the way. Next time, I'm not letting another event go by without getting across that stage. But I'm sitting back a little bit. I'm not way up front anymore. By the third one, I'm sitting back in the middle, going, you know, how long is this recognition thing going to last? I'm getting tired of this nonsense. Train me. But by the 3rd year, I'm sitting in the back. And I'm saying, you know what, maybe there's something wrong with me. For real. Maybe I'm not built for this. I'm making some money, I'm doing okay, but I'm not free. I don't have residual income yet, it's all on me. Nobody joins unless I'm in the room. Nobody stays unless I'm in the room. Nobody goes to the event unless I make it happen. Nobody's doing anything unless I was pushing the rock uphill constantly. If I let go of that rock, it was going the other way, the group would fall apart. If I took off for 1 week and said I just need a little rest, the group would scatter like the wind. I'm sitting in the back saying, I went to this last event after 3 years looking for an excuse to quit. The saying, you know, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'm not built for this. It's for other people. Look at those. I know those people on the stage, and I know they're not very smart. I know it. They're like Forrest Gump. They're just walking around. Like, how's the compensation plan work? I don't know. Just, what? They don't know about the product, they don't know about the compensation plan. They have this group that runs away from them like you can't stop growing. And I know the middle name of every person on my team. I know their birthdays. I know everything about them. It's too much. I must be broken, truthfully. So I went to this last event, discouraged, really discouraged. And looking for an excuse. And I was watching CNN on the TV in the hotel room the night before. And on CNN they had this obscure expert. Have you seen these experts like they're on Storage Wars or Pawn Stars or whatever? Somebody finds some ancient sword. So well, let's go find the ancient sword expert. He's just down the street. You see that? So they had an expert kind of like that. I don't even remember the topic now. But that expert is talking about this topic. I said, how does a person become an expert at that? It doesn't even make sense. I thought about how they would do. Well, they probably read everything there was to read. They probably interviewed everybody in the space. They probably had personal experience with it. They probably maybe wrote a book about it, so they know a lot about it. So eventually CNN had to call them. Okay? So that's the only thing that goes through my mind that night. Nothing clicks. But the next day I'm sitting in the back and I'm watching the parade of tears. I want to thank the team. It couldn't have happened without you. I love you all so much. Without a good attitude. And literally, it was like getting hit by lightning. It connected in my head. What if I decided to become an expert here? Because I worked hard before. But what if I worked on my skills? What if I worked on my attitude? What if I worked on my abilities? What if I let go of results and I just decided to become the most skilled, most talented person when it comes to the skills necessary to build a network marketing business? The best in the world, world class. What if I just focused on that and I let go of being lucky, being in the right place at the right time, trying to find that magical person, trying to figure out this incredible strategy, and I just let go of all that, and I just worked on my skills. And I decided in that moment that that was what I was going to do. I wasn't going to focus on my upline, I wasn't going to focus on the company, I wasn't going to focus on the support, I was going to create it. If there was no meeting, I'd make the meeting. If there's no leadership, I'd be the leader. If there was no sales ability, I'd make the sales ability. You know what I'm saying? And here I was, age 26, 27. And I made that decision in that moment, and it changed my whole life. One decision to join the profession made a big change. The other decision was when I decided to go pro. I decided to be serious and quit looking for shortcuts. Because I thought you had to be tricky and clever. There's a big difference in network marketing between being clever and wisdom. There's a lot of clever people running around broke. But the wisdom, the people who seek wisdom in our business end up rich for a long time. So here's what I will tell you. My dominant emotion up until that point for my first 3 years was fear. Fear I was too late. Fear I was getting left behind. Fear I was on the wrong team. Fear I wasn't going to get the training or the support. Fear that I wasn't good enough. And in that one moment when I made a decision to go pro, my fear went away. Because now it wasn't built on anything or anyone else. It was just me. It was just me. And I decided that moment to become like an investigative reporter. And I started interviewing all the top earners. And I started saying, what are the skills that you have to master? And I identified the skills that I needed to master. And I was at a low level on some of them, and I had to start bringing myself up to a high level. And here's what I'm going to tell you. The biggest, most important thing in your life in network marketing is to make a decision. To become unshakable. To become the rock in the river. The river, most of you are the river. You flow around the rock. Whatever that is, your job, circumstance, other people. But when you become the rock and the world has to revolve around you, when you become unmovable, unshakable, unstoppable, undistractable, when you become solid, everyone starts to climb up on that rock and say, okay, they find refuge in you because you made the decision. The biggest thing in the world to become a network marketing professional, take charge of your life, is just to make the decision. I will not be moved. I am unshakable, I am unstoppable, I am unmovable, period, end of story. No matter what happens, no matter what support I get, no matter who hurts my feelings. There isn't 50 of you in this room that have really made a decision. The rest of you, something could knock you out of this business. Something could knock you out in the next 30 days. Something. But if you make a decision, I promise you, it goes from being hard to being easy. Once you make the decision, you burn the boats, you say, I'm not going back, I'm going to the top. Once you say that, then it gets pretty easy because you don't have any other options. You don't have any other place to go. And what I will tell you is once you really make a decision, things are going to happen pretty fast for you. For me, in just 2 years after I made the decision, 2 years, I spent 3 years struggling, and in 2 years, by the time I was 29 years old, my 1099 for that year was $980,000. Within 2 years. Just 2 years. Then I was able to go on. I mean, I'm telling you, once you get to making $1 million a year, it's hard to go back. I'm telling you. You can pay your bills at that level. And what I will tell you about that level, I know everybody's talking about claims and everything else. Not everyone will, but anyone can. Anyone in this room can. Not everybody's going to, but anybody could. If you make a decision, there's some people in this room that no one is expecting you to be one of those $1 million earners, and you're going to be one. No one is looking at you. There's some of you that are saying, hey, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I've been around the block for a while. I am who I am. I'm going to do it my best, see what I can do out of this thing. And you're going to just blow this thing to smithereens. There's going to be some of you in this room, young people like me, like I was, that say, you know what, this is my chance. I'm not going to walk into the matrix. I'm not going to step into that corporate slave world. I'm not going to take that. I did an interview with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, last week, and he said, the most evil thing on earth is the paycheck. Because as soon as you take a paycheck, you sell your life, you sell your soul, you sell your time, you sell your freedom, and you live in bondage. Would it be a good goal to get away from a paycheck? Yeah. Be a good goal, right? So there's going to be some of you, young people, that say, you know what? I'm not going to do what my parents did, my grandparents did. I'm going to cut a new path. I'm going to do something special. I'm going to change my family tree. I'm going to change my family history for forever. Hundreds of years from now, they'll look back to this moment and say, guess what? Great, 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 great grandma or grandpa changed everything a couple hundred years ago for our family. Whatever, yeah, I agree. All right, let me tell you, give you a couple principles for your notes if you're taking notes. First,
just better.
It's just better.
Yes.
It's better than a blue-collar job that beats on your body and is tossed this way and that by the economy. It's better than working for somebody else for that paycheck, being employed by somebody